All right, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, family. All praise to the Most High and His only begotten Son, Yahushua, for He is good and His mercy endure forever. Um, may the Most High Spirit go forth for myself or anyone who may give a word today. Um, I don't like to take too much time, but today definitely put your focus ears on and kind of lock in. And so if you could really see like the picture that the Most High is trying to paint for us. And I skipped through. It's so much with this. I just did my best to stay focused and try to get key points because it's really like you could use the whole book. So I did my best to try to focus on key points because the way my mind worked, it just be like, and then add this, and then tell them this, and then show them that. So I tried my best to like turn that off as much as I could and get to the point. I do want to say the water to Abijah and his wife as well for their platform and just support and love and relationship that they have shown and created. Um, also, shout out to the brothers who have continued to do good work online and have inspired me in ways as well. The water to all of us who have shared resources and things like that to help us comb through and continue to get more and more witnesses. So all praise for that. Um, so today again, we want to discuss this topic that's really been really something that has had the world in peril, the world in total confusion, um, which is the Gentiles. And we've already covered it a few times. I double checked on the channel and saw some of the things that I said before because those slides that's on the channel, my hard drive got deleted, so I don't have it on my phone. But I just checked through, combing through the videos, and I didn't want to repeat a whole bunch of stuff from that. So I think on the channel there's like a light to the Gentiles, at least 1 and 2, and those were long because we were in the building, so they were like maybe 3 hours long. So it's a lot of information on that, and just the way the Most High puts it on my heart is I really try to start with the backstory or start with the beginning because I think that's how we get messed up. A lot of times we're starting these movies, quote unquote, in the middle or in the last quarter, and we have no clue on what's going on. And when you walk the witnesses down, I just feel like that's a better way for us to learn, and it's a better way for us to get the idea of what our people would have been through or would have seen or would have known. So that's the same thing that uh, we want to do here today as well. And all praises, man. I think it's some good stuff. So um, want to start here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and borrow Naraya. I think you probably free.
Yeah, I got you up.
Um, I think I'm gonna go ahead and borrow Naraya. And I want to start right here, man. And actually, we talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again because some of this stuff I'm going to repeat again. I have a focus this time on certain things, but we're going to be bringing some of this stuff back. But talking about the kingdom, talking about Israel, talking about the 12 tribes, um, the first place we want to go to is First Kings chapter 11, and we're gonna be starting at the top. And I remember I was reading like a month or so ago, and Nariah was at the house, and I was asking him. I said, I just came across like I didn't realize like what would be the purpose, or why would Solomon have uh the northern kingdom tribes in bondage? That didn't make sense to me. Like, I couldn't understand, like, why would Israelites be in some type of servitude under Solomon? And it's funny how the Most High worked, because you could read these things a gazillion times, and this has happened even this week. You will read it a gazillion times, and you're gonna always continue to rediscover and discover things. This word is really alive, and for one, it's so much information. It's like reading a book, watching a long animated series or a long TV series. It's just gonna be parts that it's gonna take, years and decades for your mind to really remember and lock in on everything that's going on. So I think this backstory is pretty in peril for us to come to an understanding on what was really going on and the purpose of this. So this is going to be talking about King Solomon. Obviously, we know he's done many great things, but we know that he had his issues as well towards the end of his life, and we want to cover that starting right here, First Kings chapter 11. You can start at the top whenever you're ready.
Khan, just let me know when to stop.
All right.
So this is the book of First Kings, chapter 11, verse 1. It says, "But Malak Shalom, or King Solomon, loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the Yaladim Yasharallah, or children of Israel, you shall not go in to them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Shalom clave unto these in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart."
Stop right there real quick. I didn't put it in here, but this goes back to the Torah, all the way back to Masha's time, that a king shall not multiply wives unto himself. And also the Most High said to not mix with the other nations, as they would turn uh, our hearts away from him. And he's repeating, this is what's happening here with Solomon. Go ahead.
Verse 4, "For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his Elohim, as was the heart of Dawid, or David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Shalom did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and went not fully after Yahweh, as did Dawid his father."
Real quick, Ashtaroth, that's pretty much down the line up until today, where they celebrate and get Easter from. So just wanted to put that note out there. Go ahead.
Verse 7, "Then did Shalom build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Yerushalayim, or Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And Yahweh was angry with Shalom, because his heart was turned from Yahweh Elohim of Yasher Allah, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which Yahweh commanded him. Wherefore Yahweh said unto Shalom, for as much as this is done of you, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely rend the kingdom from you and will give it to your servant. Notwithstanding, in your days I will not do it for Dawid your father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of your son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to your son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And Yahweh,
Water.
go
That's
ahead.
it. That's it. That's it. The water.
Right.
Water for that. All right, family. So now, which I put the key verses on the screen here, we can get to the point or a point of what has happened and what has caused kind of even what we see today, but what has caused the split between the houses of Israel, between the southern kingdom and between the northern kingdom. All right, I saved that. But basically, it's due to Solomon, because Solomon turned away from the Most High and went after the idols, other gods of the wives that he partook with. The Most High says, "You has not kept my covenant, my statutes." And the Most High had visited Solomon 2 times, and that's what Nariah was saying. Because it's like, come on now, like we waiting for that visitation, and we have ancestors that have really seen a lot of things, and yet and still turned away from the Most High, and we gonna see it again here shortly as well. But he says he's gonna rend the kingdom from Solomon, but he's not gonna rend the kingdom in Solomon's time because he made a promise to Dawid. And even that right there is such a monument. That's a class in itself, I feel like, because the Most High had made a promise to his father. He's going to allow Solomon's rule to continue until his time is up. And also, he's going to allow to one tribe to remain, Judah, with his brother Benjamin, for David's sake as well, that he would always have someone in rulership. Um, and he says for the land's sake, Jerusalem's sake, that he has chosen. So I know we wonder sometimes how someone can be in wickedness, um, and do certain things, and they may just get chance after chance after chance, but we don't know what line some of our people come from. When you really think about it, we don't know what line they come from. We don't know what ultimate plan that the Most High has for them as far as repentance in the future, or when we don't know if the Most High is keeping a covenant that goes back, to someone as far as David. Um, but also it shows that just because you see something done in the scriptures doesn't mean that it's something that was good or lawful or anything like that. So, this is not a class about multiple wives or anything like that, because it's really, honestly, for me, it's a lot of info on both sides, to be fair. But in this instance here, if someone was trying to use Solomon and say that he had a bunch of wives, the whole thing was um, reprimanded from the Most High. So this is just a small example of, just because you see somebody do something in the scriptures doesn't mean that what they were doing was right. Um, I'll open up this spot here before we continue. Just any comments so far, even though it's just the beginning, just in case anyone was itching to say anything.
Yeah, precept to what you just said, Ecclesiasticus, the prologue, basically.
You gonna read something?
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me find it. Da, da, da. Okay. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, just a part of it. If I can find it. Okay. Here it is. It says, for the same things uttered in Ibarium or Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets or Torah with the law. And the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own like language. So that was going back to you saying like, don't always believe like what they're writing because they were under captivity. So like the Jesus Lord, all the mistranslations, like and all the people saying that, thinking that they're right, saying, oh, yeah, like calling him by that name, but really it's all in vain. So that's what I was trying to say.
Khan, definitely a good point, and we'll touch on that probably a few slides from now as well. So, did anyone else have anything? All right. So sliding down, Nariah, we're gonna go and read the next half of this chapter here, talking about Jeroboam. Jeroboam, one of Solomon's sons. So start at verse 26.
Shamar. This is 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 26. And Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zeredah, Shalom's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his head against the king. And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Shalom built Milo and repaired the breaches of the city of Dawud his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Shalom, seeing this young man, that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Yahweh or Joseph. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Yerushalayim, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith Yahweh, the Elohim of Yasher Allah, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Shalom, and will give 10 tribes to you. But he shall have one tribe for my servant Dawad's sake, and for Yerushalayim's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Yasher Allah.
Stop right there. So now you can see you have a prophet of the Most High, Ahiah, who is visiting Jeroboam. So this is, in a sense, this is the Most High visiting Jeroboam, giving him a message, giving him a word. And he takes a piece of a garment and divides it in 12 parts. The 12 parts represent, obviously, the 12 tribes. And he says that he's going to give him 10 to rule over, and then he's going to leave the tribe of Judah and Benjamin for David's sake and the city that he has chosen. And Ahiah, me going over this again, this is a prophet that we have that is not talked about at all, very rarely mentioned. And it just goes to show, the Most High has been using, his people and using prophets, all throughout the annals of our history. And right now we're speaking about the great man, the great prophet Ahiah. Go ahead.
Verse 33, because that they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god or Pasal or idol of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did Dawad his father. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for Dawad, my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand and will give it to you, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give one tribe, that Dawad, my servant, may have a light always before me in Yerushalayim, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there.
Pause right there. So here again, we see that if we were to ask or be asked, why did the 12 tribes split? The 12 tribes split because of the Most High, because of the sins of Solomon. And the Most High says that he's not going to take the kingdom out of Solomon's hand. He's going to take the kingdom from his son's hand. The son that he's talking about is Rehoboam. And I know we've heard these names over the years, and I can speak for myself. I always get them confused, Rehoboam and Jeroboam. And it's just now, I have begun to, remember which one was which. That's why reading and studying and building the classes, it actually really does help me as well. But Rehoboam is the one he says he's going to snatch the greater number of the tribes from and give to Jeroboam. And then that's how we get the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom split. But go ahead, Op.
Just a quick comment. I was looking at Rehoboam's name just to see how it's spelled in the Hebrew, just to see if it was Rai Bawam or something to that effect. It actually wasn't, from what I saw, but the word Rai can be interpreted as evil. So I guess one way, the Ra, the head of a man, can be pride or being heady. So if it helps y'all, when you hear Rehoboam's name, just remember the head of a man, and you can put that synonymous with him being prideful or wicked towards Yah. And that'll kind of help you remember and differentiate between him and Jeroboam. But verse 37, 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 37. And I will take you, and you shall reign according to all that your soul desireth, and shall be king over Israel. And it shall be, if you will listen unto all that I command you, and will walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as Dawad my servant did, that I will be with you, and build you a sure house, as I built for Dawad, and will give Yashar'Allah unto you. And I will for this afflict the seed of Dawad, but not forever. Shalom sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled into Tazabah unto Shishak, Malak of Tazabah, and was in Tazabah until the death of Shalom. And the rest of the acts of Shalom and all that he did, and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? And the time that Solomon reigned in Yerushalayim over all Yashar'Allah was 40 years. And Shalom slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of Dawad his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead.
Khan, the water for that. Quick comments, and then I think Abijah had his hand up, and I think I have a question as well. Maybe he can help answer. So family, we see here that because of what I just said about Solomon's sin, the Most High prophesied that he's going to go ahead and split the kingdom when Solomon passes away. And the Most High went and confirmed to Jeroboam what was going to happen. but Solomon actually turned wicked like King Saul did and wanted to kill Jeroboam, uh, which is crazy to me. So Jeroboam fled to Egypt and pretty much waited out until Solomon had passed away. The kingdom of Solomon, the kingdom of Yasharallah, the kingdom of Israel, was passed down to Rehoboam, and you can see that at the last sentence. So one thing I wanted to say was that he said he was going to afflict the seed of David, but not forever. That's kind of common with the theme how the Most High would chastise his people, but always has a plan to redeem us in the end. Another thing is just how I mentioned Ahiah and how he doesn't often get mentioned as one of our prophets. There's a book called The Acts of Solomon, and we have no clue, no idea where that book is. So when Abijah is teaching about things such as what canon, meaning the Bible that we have being put in a order of things, we're missing so much of our history still. We just thank the Most High for the scriptures that we do have. But how much more and how much more clarity will we have if our books wasn't burned or destroyed? Just try to do any kind of research on this as far as that book of the Acts of Solomon. And it says it's likely lost during the Greek captivity period. But who knows, with that. And the last thing, and I have a question as well. It says, and Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David, his father. Usually, if you were like wicked, you may not get that type of burial, or you may not get the burial, with the fathers. And I was always confused about, like, I guess we're not the Most High to judge, but I was just wondering, like, what did the judgment of Solomon? It's just something I always ponder about. For all the great things he did, and then he fell away at the end, but then he was still buried in the city of David with his father. So I was just wondering about that. But I'll turn it over to you for now, Abijah.
I just wanted to point out when Ak read how the Most High is speaking. The Most High says that because for David's sake, because David kept my commandments and he kept my statutes. Just want to point out our culture. We know David committed two, I don't really want to say great sins because, that's like rating sins, but he committed two powerful transgressions that angered the Most High. But yet still he repented sincerely, and the Most High forgave him. So I just want to point that out because this Christianity thing about being perfect and it's like they get puffed up with pride, which prevents you from quickly repenting. And us being in these earth suits, it's part of the walk. We're gonna have to. There's gonna be days we have to repent to the Most High. So I just want to point that out. Even though David had those two great transgressions on his record, he sincerely repented and got back in line with Abba. And now Abba is saying, David kept my commandments. Doesn't mean he didn't step out of line. Doesn't mean he was perfect in a Greco-Roman sense. But according to the Most High's ways, he repented and got back in line. So I just want to share that with the Mashapach because that's one of the things that we constantly hear. No one can keep the commandments and God knew it. No one can be perfect and God knew it. Well, that's like a mute point. We are in these earth suits. We're going to have these days where we falter, but because of the blood of Yahushua, we have a means to repent and get back in line with Abba and keep his covenant. So I just want to point that out. I yield.
Khan, I'm glad you said that because I had actually told you that, Nariah. It just showed me how it's another witness to someone making a mistake, but yet and still, the Most High considered them righteous. And it was not all about, oh, you never did something wrong in your entire life. Even in the midst of Solomon messing up, the Most High told him what the end would be, but he didn't even get, his punishment or anything, at that time. So it's just reading these accounts and seeing how the Most High deal with his people, you could get a more accurate sense of really what the Most High, how he operates than, you know, what we had traditionally been taught. So all praise for that comment. I had noticed while we were doing a thing that I had forgot. So Salakia, I put it's the same messages that I had from Solomon. I forgot to change the key verses right here, so I didn't put them up there. I'll fix that for next time. But briefly, I didn't want to really go over this too much because I did mention it before on the boot camp stuff. But if anybody notices, like the picture here, the top that I have up here for the northern tribes, the bottom one is for the southern tribes. Just a little, I just like graphics. It actually helps me like work better. But the one at the top, you will notice I was gonna do like a quiz thing, but it's so much going on. I didn't really think about it. But the top one, you see that it has a golden calf statue on it. So that would have been the clue that that was the Northern Kingdom. And basically, I'm just going to kind of synopsis chapter 12 so we don't spend so much time on it. But basically, in chapter 12, you could go back and verify, read it yourself. But in chapter 12, we know that Rehoboam is now in rulership. Rehoboam was basically asked or was asking the elders how should he deal with Jeroboam, his brother, who had came up from Egypt. And he said in verse 4, your father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make you the grievous service of your father and his heavy yoke, which is upon us, lighter, and we will serve thee. So they're saying, you know, ease up on us. Let's, you know, come back together, get things going, and, you know, we can pretty much work together type thing. But instead of listening to the elders, me and Nariah was saying Rehoboam, he listened to the YNs. He listened to the youngins. And they basically just said that they were going to make the bondage and the servitude harder. And that caused the final, really the rift between the two and the separation between the two to be really, really permanent. Thus, we already know the Most High said that this was going to happen anyway. The crazy thing is, by the time you get to verse 26, Nariah, read 26, read 26 through 28.
Shemai, all right. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 26. And Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zereda, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even
is that chapter 12 verse?
Oh, so yeah, that was 11.
Chapter 12, verse 26.
Okay. 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 26. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of Yahweh at Yerushalayim, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Adonai or master, even unto Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they shall kill me and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah.
Stop right there real quick. So now what's going on here is Jeroboam is saying he was visited by the Most High, by a prophet, and told that he would be ruling and good and right standing with the Most High. Confirmation from the Most High. If you do this, then you're promised X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I said, I will be with you.
Confirmation from the Most High now. He comes here in verse 26 and says, basically, because the language, obviously how they write and talk is a little bit hard to understand. So let's talk like we talk. He's basically saying, if we was in right standing with the South, and the people start going back to the house of Yahweh, up to the temple, up to Jerusalem, and start sacrificing at Jerusalem, that the hearts of the people gonna turn from me, and they gonna return and turn to Jeroboam, the king of Judah, and kill me. So he's letting his own fears of things that has not happened, things that was not even promised to happen in his day when the Most High confirmed to him. And then it caused him to do verse 28. Read verse 28.
Verse 28. Whereupon the king took counsel and made two calves of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold, your gods, and Yasha Allah, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt.
So he said, instead of y'all going up there to the temple and doing the sacrifices that we did before, and y'all turning on me and end up slaying me, I'm gonna make, and it's too much of a journey for y'all to even go there in the first place. Here's the gods that saved you. This is your God. These are the gods that brought you out of Tazabah, the house of bondage. So now they're going right back into the same mindset that our people had when they had first came out of the wilderness. When Moses went up to the mountain to get the commandments and things, they had the golden calf built. And this calf is a symbolization of Baal, a symbolization of the same pagan deities that people worshiping up until this day. But here it is our people doing this. And this man, Jeroboam, after being confirmed, Most High sent somebody, hey, look, this, I'm gonna rock with you. This is what I'm gonna do. And his own fears cause him to turn to these idols. His own pride and his own mess just caused him to want to go astray from the ways of the Most High. So with that being said, at this point, you guys can see the reason why the kingdoms begin to split, and also the start of the northern tribes going into idolatry and why that happened, and the civil war between the two, which we'll also cover as we continue to go. So did anyone have any comments about this before we continue to move on?
Khan, just two quick things. One, it goes back to what we were talking about. Ultimately, it just comes down to our people's unbelief and what Yah be telling us. We don't believe it, and then we'll end up, thinking of vanity or vain things in our own mind and heart that ain't got nothing to do with what the Most High said. And now here it is. You done drew up this whole elaborate plan to thinking you doing right. And now you done completely missed the mark, and you so far away from the Most High that now he gonna use you and get you up out of here. So that's one. And then two, just kind of backtracking a little bit in regards to what you and Abijah brought out regarding how King David, when he sinned at the end, the Most High said, but my boy David still kept my commandments. Not saying that he did everything right all the time. It made me think of one of our other kings, King Ahab, Jezebel's husband, for those who remember Jezebel. And he did a lot of wickedness too, but the Most High sent a prophet to him, Elijah, if I'm not mistaken. And when he had judged according to what the Most High was telling to Elijah, King Ahab had ended up fasting and humbling himself. And the Most High ended up saying, to Elijah, he said, do you see how he's humbling himself before me? So therefore, go tell him, he gonna have peace in his days, but I'm going to enact vengeance in the days of his sons, his children that come after him. And then Ahab pretty much just accepted the word and said it's good. The word that the Most High sent is good. So I just wanted to bring those two things out, our own belief. That's why I say all the time, everything that's going on in this Bible and the things that we read, all of it is to show us that Yahweh is Ahaya. He is the I am that he's been saying he is this whole time. All of this stuff is for us to believe in him. But I'll yield with that.
Con, the water. Anybody else?
Con, and just to support what Nerai says, also, is these examples are, we don't have to go through all this trouble if we just know it's hard. And, the spiritual, trust me, spiritual warfare is serious and real. But if we, like the song say, turn it over to Yah, for through that temptation, whatever it is, he's going to deliver us. He's going to give us what he promised. So like Nariah is pointing out, we have these examples, and some of them they failed and repented, and the Most High, forgave them. But if you just hold on, victory is coming. Now, with that,
You cut out. You might have. I don't know if you hit the button too fast or.
no, I was yielding out.
All right, Con the water. Don't want to cut anybody short. Did anyone else have anything about that? The split of the two tribes, or the northern and the southern. All right, fam. This is a fun part for me. I really think I know 100% Nariah. This is for you. But it's really for all of us. And I hope y'all can type in the chat if you don't want to unmute. But I kind of want to just ask some questions. It's kind of like a pop quiz, but we talked about Ahaya. We talked about Ahaya, one of our prophets, and we have prophets all throughout the Bible. So what I want to ask is, when you think about the King James, what is the first prophet like that comes to your mind? Like, and when I say that, prophets that have books named after them that we would know. So if that makes sense, I'll ask Nariah first, and then someone else, or we'll see how it flows. So Nariah, when you think about the King James, we get to the prophets. What's the first prophet that you think about, or that's listed? If you can remember.
Yeah, one of the first ones I think about, since he came before Babylon, was Isaiah. He's one of the main ones.
Isaiah. And Nariah got no clue of what's going on right now, but he got it right. So Isaiah, and it's not about right or wrong. This is going to prove a whole entire point. So now at this point, let me see what y'all got in the chat. Okay, somebody else said Isaiah. Now, what's the next person? And I know you got your apps. So if you got any type of integrity, like try not to look at the apps at the moment. So somebody, Lawaya, is thinking, he said Elijah, but remember, we don't have a great book named after Elijah in our possession. So he is a prophet. And just in this, and which is another thing, but right now we're thinking about like in the KJV. I was thinking about this. Go ahead, Abijah. You don't have to raise your hand. Anybody can unmute at any time right now.
Well, I was with Nariah. I mean, Isaiah always, I don't know why, Isaiah always come to mind first. So I was with Nariah, but now second is Jeremiah.
Damn, Jeremiah. So that's absolutely correct as well. And I know my third one would be, yep, somebody said it in the chat, somebody said Ezekiel. That's those three I know. I know those. If I don't know nothing else, I know those three. And if anyone wanted to continue to try,
Don't be surprised.
He says Shamaryah said Daniel. So absolutely right, Daniel. I know it's about to start getting tough. If you being sincere, it's starting to get tough. And he says, Micah. Is it Micah? I don't think it's Micah. No, it's not Micah. Not next. No.
Nehemiah.
Good guess. No, not Nehemiah.
Ezra, probably for me.
Oh yeah, Ezra. That's
and I thought about that afterwards, and it's like in the terms of King James language, how they teach us, they don't even act like Ezra is a prophet. And I said, maybe it's because they don't accept, this is just me in my head, maybe because they don't accept the Apocrypha, because you really see the prophetic side on second Esdras. But I went back and I was like, man, if I was to really do it in that sense, I would have said Ezra as well. I would have said him before Isaiah. Unfortunately, I didn't include them just because of the way the King James, they say major and minor prophets.
No, we can't.
So what was that? Somebody said?
Zechariah, yeah. I would say Zechariah or maybe Jonah.
So that's those are great guesses. I'm gonna help y'all out. Hosea is listed next, I think. And we can just go ahead and let me double check, make sure I didn't make a mistake. Because I did two of them. So I want to.
We're trying to put them in order by the KJV or just like.
Yeah, the order of how, that's why I got KJV up there. How the KJV had it.
I was just naming.
Yeah,
y'all was rolling. Y'all was really rolling though. Y'all was getting it. Y'all.
These are all major, the so-called majors here. This is Sunday school right here.
So after Hosea in the Bible, in order, in the KJV, who would be next? And you could cheat now. You could cheat.
I'm trying to think how many majors there was. 11 majors, is it?
I feel like for me in my head, I feel like it's less than that. I feel like the majors, honestly, is just the first four. But I ain't never.
Hosea.
One clue is he's in the
Joel.
chat. Yep, there we go.
Oh, Ya'ala. Yeah, Ya'ala. Okay.
Amos. Abijah.
They listed him as major?
No, I didn't say these were specifically major. I said think in terms of major and minor, because they don't consider Ezra, Nehemiah, all that stuff, like we may have. So that I was just trying to help trigger your thought process. But me personally, I didn't look and see what they termed major and minor. I didn't necessarily care, but I was thinking off the top of my head, it would be Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel would be major, and the rest of them is pretty much considered minor to me, the way they think. So Abijah, then we got Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, and then Zechariah.
And then Malachi. Mm-hmm.
So this is how it's listed when you search through the Bible, the KJV Bible. And the reason why I started it, and we're gonna go over this again whenever I come back, and the Most High, I'm gonna be working on it, but I think I'm gonna tag Abijah back in. But when I read the preface with Solomon, is because I wanted us to have that foundation. So we know, at least we know right now, according to today, that our people got beef between each other, between the tribes, and why they were split, right? Then we know the Most High was sending in prophets. He was sending in prophets. And the story, to me, if we was watching a movie, needs to be told in a certain order so that you have the house built upon a strong foundation. And I think because the way the KJV got this listed, it makes things like knowing who the Gentiles are much more difficult, because they don't have this thing in order at all. So let's talk about a Now, I'm not going to say this is 100%. I'm still working on it. I'm still gathering my thoughts. I'm gathering notes, resources, scriptures, etc. But this list is going to be much better than what the KJV has. So just for the sake of time, I'm going to just go through them and just go from one by one. So we got Obadiah. Oh, and I can't really explain all of them right now, but I'm going to explain the key ones to help with the class. But Obadiah talks about Edom, and it's kind of funny. If you looked at 1 Kings chapter 11, Edom was like the first nation called to come up against Solomon after he started messing around with the wives. The next one would be Ya'ala, Joel. The next one we have is Jonah. Jonah being sent up to tribes that were in Nineveh. The next one will actually be Amos. And we're going to cover, like I said, some of these here to give y'all a picture so y'all can see, like, well, where are you getting this from? Hosea, Micah, Isaiah. So in the KJV, they start with Isaiah. We done went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books before we got to Isaiah. Nahum, Zephaniah, Jeremiah. 11 books or 9 books before we get to Jeremiah. They got Jeremiah, the second thing we read. Habakkuk, Ezekiel. 12 books down, they got them at 3. Daniel, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. Before I go into and explain the key ones for now and give y'all some witnesses to help, where did I get this from? Just with the raw names, the raw list, did anyone have any type of comments about this? Because I know, Nariah, I know you were asking about this for a long time. But did anyone have any comments?
Khan, just one of the things, and I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but one of the things that I was misunderstanding in regards to your question, as far as just naming some of the prophets early in the beginning, the reason why I said Jonah is because he went up to the quote unquote Ninevites. And, you know, I could be corrected if I'm wrong, but I never thought that those, once I started to understand the text, that those were, you know, truly the people of Nineveh rather than Israelites who were up there. So that would lead me to believe that Jonah was being sent to the northern kingdom to tell them to repent. But that's just what got my mind thinking, that if Jonah was sent to the Ninevites up to the northern kingdom, then that would make it seem almost before like Isaiah and Jeremiah and them started to come around. But that was just one of my thought processes in regards to your question earlier.
Absolutely, yeah. And then that first question, like I said, was just trying to see if we could think of how the KJV had it. So it wasn't about a correct order, just correct according to what they gave us. But here, I just did from my own research right now, and it's ever flowing because I would include the other prophets. We got Elijah, Aliyah, and Ahiah. There's prophets while everything was still together as well. But real quick, did anyone else have any comments? Just the fact of seeing how these names would be different, even though you don't have a context to it right now.
Yeah, I do. I was going to add, like, if those so-called translators was trying to be actual accurate and righteous, Moshe should have been the first prophet, because Um, even even in their little Masoret, but then you,
You
he sees
started lag.
destruction, and he sees the Most High shows him our resurrection by the sun coming to gather us. So really scholars and being righteous, they would have put Masha first.
Khan, I mean, I definitely can agree. I guess at least with that, with the Torah to be in the first 5 books of Moses, at least we do get to read through his accounts first before we get to this other so-called major, minor, whatever they want to call it. But at least we do get that backstory from him first. But I definitely still agree. Anybody else who just free flowing this part right here? Just wanted to see if you had it. I think you might get a few comments more on the next one.
I just wanted to also add that the way that the KJV is written and presented to us, via the books and the apps that we have access to on a general scale, it's almost like a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's like it's bad enough that in Christianity they tell you to start in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but even if you did start from the beginning, it's going to be confusing because just like you said, you'll go from, the Torah, then you go to the Kings, Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles. And it's a whole bunch of information regarding the history of all the kings and the chronicles of all the kings back to back to back to back. And then you go to Psalms, but then you go to Isaiah, which skips a lot of prophets who had came, before that time. So that's why for those who are familiar with like Quentin Tarantino or Pulp Fiction or some of the movies that he directed, he never directs and tells a story from the beginning. Like the opening scene of a Quentin Tarantino movie would be a building blowing up. And you have to watch the whole movie in its entirety and put the scenes together in their proper order to understand what happened in the beginning of the movie. And that's kind of how the Bible is in its condition right now when I read it. But I'll yield with that.
Great comment, and I agree. And I just don't think that that's the way that the Bible should be written. I think that is a fun way to tell stories and watch entertainment. I like it myself. I'm cool either way, but I don't think it helps with the scriptures because people's minds get thrown all over the place, and then it becomes the situation where it's a book of good sayings, and the things that's happening gets more and more and more diminished. The history gets confusing, the names get confusing, and we just end up throwing our hands in the air and saying, well, let's just focus on Jesus. But I feel if it was told in the correct order, the way the Most High intended, then our understanding would be greater, and things of like understanding who the Gentiles are and why we treated each other such a way would make more sense. So I wanted to start here in this era, in this timeline right now, with people during the time of what we were just reading. Sometime in that vein, or in that era of a certain era. So one of the ways you can start to at least piece some of the prophets together in the same timelines is just reading verse 1 of their books. So it says, the words of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, northern kingdom, 2 years before the earthquake. We got Hosea. It says, the word of Yahweh that came unto Hosea, Hawashai, the son of Beri or Barai, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. So you can see that the Most High sent both of these prophets overlapping one another in the same time period. Micah, it says, the word of Yahweh that came to Micah, the Morashite, in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, the kings of Judah, that he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. Micah would most likely be a little bit later because he wasn't included in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, the king of Yashar'allah. Then we get Isaiah. Isaiah, the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, is not to be confused with Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, the kings of Judah. So you can see these prophets right here overlap one another, intermingle with one another. And Abijah, you said something last week that had sparked something that was on my mind or that I already had been thinking about. And you said that Isaiah had been prophesying over the course of 60 some odd years. So he was going and covering a long span of time. And I was like, man, it's crazy how the Most High works, that was on your heart and mind for you to say. Something that I didn't put in here, but I wanted y'all to think about, because we're locking in on the northern and the southern right now. The Most High, Abijah, are you free real quick to speak? If you are, can you explain the by the mouth of 2 to 3 witnesses, how you do with your chart that you created?
Con, so it's part of the Most High's commandments that we have to establish everything by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. The commandment was first issued for capital punishment, to put someone to death, but it became part of our culture. So first we find 2 explicit witnesses saying what we're saying, and then we look, the second point, did Moses say it when he was teaching us? Did Yahweh Shai say it? And so that's how we look for our witnesses, explicit witnesses, not interpretation, not exegeting. He's, how the Christians do it. He blessed the Syrophoenician woman, so he loves everybody. No. The text didn't say he loves everybody. So we're looking for explicit witnesses in line with the text. I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Absolutely. The water for that. And it just made me think. I didn't want to, because it's a little bit longer class than I would normally do lately. So I didn't want to keep adding more and more to it, but I was just going to speak on it, and I'll do it for next time. We'll go over it again another time. But Hosea and Isaiah. Hosea was mainly a prophet to the northern kingdom. Isaiah was mainly a prophet to the southern kingdom. He spoke to both, though, but mainly to the southern. And both of their names mean salvation. Hawashai, Yahawashai, or Yashiyah. Both of their names mean salvation. Both prophets went to each, the northern and to the southern. So it's just like, man, the way the Most High worked, he's following his own rules. And obviously you see other prophets as well, but by the mouth of 2 to 3 witnesses, the Most High was establishing a matter of what was going to happen. But also the prophets he sent, when you look at the names and then you look at the things that they said, he even still telling them the judgment is talking about the salvation and the deliverance as well. So I hope, you can sit back and think on that and see how great that is and how amazing that is. But I was like, man, the way the Most High operates is very meticulous, and it's awesome, really, to think about. So we want to jump into a Sharash Ibar, so to speak, and just take a couple moments. Take a couple moments. I don't know if Abijah wanna play a song. You don't have to, but if you did, it's okay. And
Yeah, I can, but before you do that, I gotta do this because what you just said about how you just broke down the witnesses going to the northern kingdom and then some witnesses going to the southern kingdom. I was in Ephesians, I think Thursday or Friday, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna bookmark this for DCD, but you just really gave the prime opportunity to share it. Uh, this is Ephesians chapter 2, verse 20, and it says, uh, man, all right, let me go back to 19. Ephesians 2 and 19. Sorry, Salaki. Now, therefore, ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of Yah, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets. So he's telling these people they're being called Ephesians, but we know they're Israelites. And our proof text is it says, we are built upon the foundations of the apostles and prophets. And like Ak just pointed out, the prophets were sent to witness to Israelites. So it's just a beautiful thing when you see these connections. These letters are witnessing to Israelites, built upon the foundations of the prophets.
Khan, now hold that verse, not right. Just keep in mind this verse. Keep in mind this verse. I think I got something in here. It says, therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and the household of Yah. So keep that verse 19 in your mind. You can bring it back up or comment when we get to it. I'll let you know. But some of the stuff with the New Testament, I didn't include right now. The focus is giving the backstory and showing you like why I believe I'm explaining that these Gentiles are the scattered Israelites. And then we're going to talk about Cornelius again and give y'all that in Acts chapter 10 again. But in the future, it's going to go towards like all the New Testament stuff again. So for now, we'll hit this word right here and just give y'all a couple ticks to see if y'all can come up with what the name is and what the meaning is to you. Go ahead, Op.
All praise. I'm filled with hell. Phineas with a sickle for real. Prayer warrior skills and trail. Healing from the Father here. Songs is 3 scripts to build. For who the feels and thrills live inside of his will. For feeling nothing happens still. Bunch of blessing with the death and deal. Bunch of half stepping past the hill. Bunch of wolves in the pasture hill. Streets, street to the sheep. Earth for the meat. Fire for the meat. East when the king speaks to the east, waking and sleep. Matrix, strong sleep, but you can't cause you wanted to sleep. Valentine's Day, flipping on the tree might be what I want to be. The backside, red by blue, in the red side, put the backside in, and get that God's gonna be size. I got what's going to the red, sick in the head, read on your mind, get your house, you know to live with the king. On this earth, we got ten number things. Stack our treasures inside of Shemayin, in the desert, y'all sending us the wings. Fly higher than Jordan with the ring. Those 23, I stay with the team. 777 on the jersey. Win ballin' for the truth like a ring. Always gotta watch your back in the league. Centurions watching the street. 70, 80 stars in the Jeep. Breaking bread, brother, let's have a feast. Smoke sloppy, yeah, we bread, beat on each pound with scripts. We got heads in the beats. Draw 232 KJV. Revelation, that's chapter 18. Prayerfully, all days, you see. Just so safe, put them in the bed. That's a soul safe, put them in the box. Even thinking and rebuke the lies. Send them to the swan on the mountainside. If they are weak, then they get a shot. If they are weak, keep them like side. Build with my brothers, build with my tribe. We in the times, gotta stay alive. Work plus faith in the most high. Walk in the blood, y'all high shot. Pray my eye, beat king in the sky. I'm sticking higher, walk a lot.
All praises to water for that. Anybody, you could just unmute anytime or type in the chat what you think this word is.
Is it Laam Yah?
Close. You close.
So I got la'ah, I'm Yah. So it's like no or not la'ah. I'm Yah. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm Yah is, or I'm my Yah.
Khan, anybody else? All right, going once. Going twice. All right, so I'll help y'all out. Naraya pretty much said it though. So la'a, ama, yeah. Now I know it's gonna be funny because we got the I there, and the I just found this out myself, literally, yesterday. Uh, that, and I've seen multiple witnesses too on this from the research that I was doing, and then from the source that Abijah gave. So, and from Blue Letter, from I was using ChatGPT, and the source that Abijah gave with the letters. And I was shocked because I was just like, I didn't know this. But anyway, so we all know about the la'ah, that's no or not. And then the ima, when you say that character, the I, remember there's no IOU in the sense of a vowel. There is no A in the sense of a vowel either, not in the vowel sense. It's just the sound that comes from when you say the character, really. So I always said, to make it easier though, there's no EIOU used in the sound. And this is making more sense for me now that I'm learning this. I literally just learned this, but when you say the I here, you're saying I, but you're not saying I like we know the character I. It's but not ah. It's kind of hard to say. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's I like I type thing. I would. What'd you say?
No, I'm laughing because it's just it's complicated when you're trying to explain the cultural things. But I understand what you're saying.
And I was like, man, and I'm thinking they're wrong, and I'm just get over here like learning, and I'm like, hey, is this right? But it's right. So when you pronounce it, it wouldn't be. It'll sound one way, but because we're using, remember, we wouldn't use A B C D E F G H I J K. We wouldn't use that. We're only using the care. If we was at home and never knew nothing else, we would only use the characters y'all see with the hieroglyphs or the pictograph, and we would speak it knowing how to say it. But because we're English taught and Greek taught, we're spelling how it would sound, if that makes sense. So it would be la'a amya or la'a amaya, la'a amaya, la'a amaya, la'a amaya.
Lo, lo ami.
Go ahead, Narai. Shamaryah. Go ahead.
I just want to kind of land me back, man, and kind of prove to your point. And I've heard also Mariah or Tazabah Abijah say this many, many, many times before. Just to let me back off what you were just talking about of the original culture, if like we were looking at it and reading it phonetically, just to add a witness to that this is authentic. I've been trying to do a little research myself. And like I just random moments, man, I'll just ask questions. I think you said this to me one time, Shamar. Yeah, like the chat GTP thing, like you just gotta know the right questions to ask. And so I've been hearing a lot lately, even in the Hebraic community, when it comes to the language, they will say that what we speak, you know what I'm saying, as far as the Abba guy, that it's a made up language. You know what I'm saying? Like the true is what we're speaking now, with the newer form. They said this is what it really is. But I was just, messing around. And like I said, this is back to your point, what you just said. So I asked Chat GTP, I said, what would be the more ancient way of saying Israel? Would it be Yasharala or Yashar? And so this is what it said. It said, if you're speaking linguistically according to biblical Hebrew grammar, it would be Yasharal. It would be more accurate from a biblical term. But Yasharala reflects an older style of phonetic reading. So I just, yeah, so I just wanted to point that out, man. What you just said is, I think, is spot on.
And that's why with even with the chat GPT or search engines, et cetera, you have to know certain things to be able to, like, you can't rely on that as the main or only source because they're going to give you the most commonly known information. But it is amazing tool. I use it all the time, but you have to already know a certain amount to be able to ask the right thing. So it just told you that Yashar Al would be correct, but then it said, well, Yashar Allah would be the most ancient form. Then that means Yashar Allah would be correct. You see what I'm saying?
Khan.
Right. So that, yeah. So even with this, Naraya, I think he said it. So this would be just to help, just to give the definition, not people, my. So I don't do it often, but sometimes if you see me, and I learned this, I think maybe from Darak Ibar, but I know I say it to Shamaryah sometimes in text message form or something like that. I'll say, Shalom Akyah. I'll say Shalom or love you Ak, or oh that's Akyah, and I'm saying that's my brother, my brother. And so here this is saying not my people. La'a Amaya. Abaja, you had something?
I just wanted to double back to what Shamaryah learned with ChatGPT, because it said biblically speaking, right? And I was laughing because our nation predates the Bible. The Bible just came around in what, 1000 AD? So it's just one of those things that makes me giggle when we hear these definitions, it's like biblical speaking. And it's just one of those proof texts. People keep praising and taunting the Bible. The Bible says, but our culture trumps the Bible, and our culture predates the Bible by thousands of years. So that's all I wanted to add. All praises.
Khan. 1 second. Naraya.
Khan, all praises. This is really this whole class has been a witness for me. As you said, years ago, I think before we even met Ibaja, I was, me and you would talk about how one of my desires would be that all of these prophets were in their proper order so we would be able to read one after the other. And this is something that I've been, meditating on for a long time. And the Most High has been helping me kind of put the pieces together as I keep reading through the text. But I knew this word looked very familiar, and I suppose that's why you said this is sort of like a Shirashai bar, because I think you were resting that day, but I don't know if you were tuning into the class. I think you were, but Ibaja was speaking that day, and when he was reading, he had ended up going to the book of Hosea or Hawashai, where it was saying, name this child Lo Ami, for in that place they'll be called not my people. And it says in that same place where they're called not my people, they will be called the sons of the living power. And I had spoke about this word. That's why I knew it looked familiar. I kept looking at it. And I was just saying how you can see both connotations with the characters. And that's just showing how powerful our language is, because on one side with la'ah, you can look at it as not, like a shepherd pulling on the neck of one of its cattle to try to stop them from going somewhere or doing something. But at the same time, you can look at la'ah in the same, in the positive sense, as far as a shepherd, shepherding his cattle, guiding them to where he wants them to go. So la'ah amaya or la'ah amya, however, it is really pronounced. You can look at it and see both. At least I can see not my people, and I can also see regathering my people. But I'll yield with that.
I do see that. I see it. The shepherd bringing in the people. Yeah, and me, for y'all just who don't understand, the way I do it, if each character has a sound, then I just use that, and that allows me to be able to know what's being said. So like they was trying to say la, so you would just, instead of saying la ah, they would just say la. For me, if la is just the shepherd staff by itself, and the ox head is a ah sound by itself, then I personally believe they're supposed to go together. So instead of saying la amya, I would say la amaya or amaya. I just try to pronounce all the syllables. That's how I do it. But to each his own until we figure out how they say it. But me knowing that each character is supposed to have a sound, that helps me figure out what's going on. So that's just for anybody. That's just how I do it. And so you can see here on the blue letter, they have a lo ami, la'ah, amaya, or amya, not my people. And now that, because I brought this word out multiple times. So the word you can see underlined is the same word as, let me get this witness real quick, and then I'm gonna go back into the word thing. So in Isaiah chapter 7, get that for me, Nariah. I never see nobody really bring this out. My first time seeing it for myself, I didn't even have it highlighted or anything when talking about this prophecy, this situation with Hosea. But if you could get Isaiah chapter 7 and give me verse 8.
Give me a second. Now I'm turning there with the I'm doing it with the traditional book. 13. Pages sticking together because I'm using a newer book. All right, here we go. Isaiah chapter 7. What verse you say?
Verse 8.
Shema, this is the book of Yashayahu, or Isaiah chapter 7, verse 8. For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. And within 65 years, so 65 years, shall Apariam or Ephraim be broken, that it be not a people. Want me to keep going?
No, that's it. So the spell check thing messed me up here, but I can fix that. But it basically says two things. Abijah, remember how last week you said something about 60 some odd years with Isaiah? And then it's funny that he's prophesying here that within 65 years, Ephraim shall be broken, that it be not a people. And then that's the same thing that he didn't say based in number of years, but Hosea chapter 1 had the prophecy naming the child what they say is lo ami, and meaning not my people. And then Hosea and Isaiah prophesied as well. And he's prophesying, we're going to read this, but he's prophesying to Ahaz in Judah. So he's telling them that Ephraim is going to be not a people. Did anyone have a comment about that before we go back into explaining more about this La'ah Amaya?
This definitely, just going back to how you had started to put the prophets in order, it definitely shows you that Hawashai or Hosea was before Isaiah's time, because Isaiah is referencing what Hosea was saying. So that's definitely a solid witness in that regard.
But they're overlapping each other. They're both alive at the same time. They're both prophesying at the same time, but Hosea was just on the scene just a little bit before.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. So going back to this, I've done this on my class, and we did it last week. But like Abijah was telling me, the focus mode, no one could see the screen. So in Isaiah chapter 25, the Most High talks about having a feast for all nations. And the word they use there is the same word that they use for la'ah amyah. Let me go back. I underlined the other one, but it was supposed to be 3:6. When you're doing all this stuff, you ain't gonna get everything right. So up here. Oh, that's the first part. I meant this part. Yeah, so it says that word for people there that they use. You see, it says up here, Ami, one time, people, nation, etc. But it says persons, members of one's people, compatriots, countrymen, kinsmen or kindred, and then it's the Amai, and then it says a people as a congregated unit, specifically a tribe, as in those of Israel. Specifically a tribe, as in of those of Israel. So imagine if we knew this all the way back from reading Hosea. We didn't even get to Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel, and all of those other things before you get to Hosea talking about y'all going to be not my people. We would have a stronger foundation of what's actually happening if we had it in proper order. And it tells you again that same word. It is very often used of Israel as being the people of Yah, the people particularly belonging to the Most High, of a single race, single races or tribes, often the tribes of Israel, and also meaning to be gathered to one's people, to be gathered to one's father, or singular of single relatives. Meaning when he said in Isaiah 25 that I'm going to have a feast for all nations, the word they use for nations is the same word that is used for people, amai or amaya, my people. But that word in English, if we was just to have the Hebrew context, was always referring to the nation and tribes of Israel. And we would have had that established all the way back from the time of Amos and Hosea before we started to get to Jeremiah, Daniel, and all of the other prophets as we go on. So when you have it like Quentin Tarantino bouncing around, these things may not stick the way that it was supposed to if you had it in proper context, building that foundation and seeing who was talking to who. So hopefully that made sense. If anyone wants to make a comment, they can. If not, we're just going into Hosea and just getting y'all some more witnesses about what happened and what the Most High said he was going to do to them. All right. If you can, go to, let me see, I can get some of these right here. Hosea, we already read one. Nariah actually basically said it off of memory, quoting the fact that the woman that Hosea was to marry was to have a son and name it La'ah Amaya. and it means not my people, as in the Israelites of the northern kingdom was going to be no longer the Most High's people, and that in the same place that they were called not my people, that they would return and once again be called the Most High's people. So he covered that one already. And I want to go to Hosea chapter 4, start with verse 6, one of the most popular ones that Christians always get misunderstood. And it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because they have rejected knowledge, I will also reject them. That you shall be no priest to me, seeing that you have forgotten the law of your Elohim, I will also forget your children. Now, if we are seeing this coming first before everything else that we get into in the Bible, this is really building a foundation very, very strong for us. Because he says, you're not going to be a priest anymore. And I'm going to forget you, and I'm going to forget your children. So the Most High is doing away with these people. You're no priests. I don't even care what y'all do no more at this point in time. And he confirms that in chapter 8. I mean, in verse 17, my bad. In verse 17, he says, Ephraim is joined to idols, the golden calves, Baal, Lord. Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone. Leave him alone. So think about this. The Most High is saying, leave him alone. This would be a reason why the southern kingdom didn't mess with the northern kingdom. The southern kingdom didn't talk to the northern kingdom. The southern kingdom would consider the northern kingdom Gentiles. Because the Most High said, leave them alone. Verse 8 and 8. 8 and 8. It says, Israel is swallowed up. Now they shall be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. Now they're among the Gentiles. They're the Gentiles. We don't talk to them. They don't worship Yahweh. They worship idol gods. Only like a couple more. 11. It says, and I think this is it for you, Abijah, what I wanted to remember, what you just pulled out in Ephesians. It says, Ephraim compasseth me about, verse 12, Hosea 11 and 12. Ephraim compasseth me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit. But Judah yet ruleth with Yahweh, and is faithful with the saints. Now, Abijah, if you're there, what does Ephesians 2 and 19 say?
It says that we are built upon the foundations of the prophets and apostles.
I think you need to read 19. That's 20, right?
And that's 2019. I don't have it in front of me. I'm driving right now, though.
I'll read it. It says right here, Hosea said, Ephraim compasseth me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit. But Judah yet ruleth with Yahweh, and is faithful with the saints. Verse 19 in Ephesians says, now therefore you are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the house, with the saints, and the household of Yahweh. But Judah yet ruleth with Yah, and is faithful with the saints. So the Most High had Judah, who remained, even though we know they went off, the Most High kept Judah, and Judah, he had a remnant that he considered faithful. The saints ruleth with Yah. Judah is Yasher Allah. Judah yet ruleth with Yah. And then Ephesians says, now you're fellow citizens, talking to the Israelites who was lost. And it's confirming right here what has been said in Hosea. Fellow citizens with the saints. I hope y'all catch that. The last one for this is Hosea 2, and it says, I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy, and I will say to them which were not my people, that you art my people, and they shall say that you are my Elohim, or you are my God. Nariah, you had something?
Khan, it was a couple of things. This is one trying to remember my train of thought, but it was going back to when you had read chapter 4, verse 17, saying Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone. And it was some other things that I was going to comment on, but you see here how the Most High is pretty much telling those who are trying to continue to seek him and follow him, leave them alone and let them do their thing. So for us in today's time, when people want to stay in the world and not seek Yah, we just leave them alone, you know. So these are some of the reasons I know for myself personally, when it comes to people that I'm trying to witness to, and the Most High has just shut them off from hearing the truth and being humble and coming back to the covenant. It's witnesses like these that justify me when you don't hear from me, or I don't participate in, you know, checking on certain people or seeing how they doing, because you're leaving yourself open for the Most High's judgment. So, you know, when it comes to stuff like that, not only do I look at it from that perspective, but I also look at it from the perspective of the prodigal son. Parables like the prodigal son, like Yahushua spoke on, makes all the more sense now, you know, especially with you bringing out this class showing how, you know, the northern kingdom has been separated and was dead in their sins. Of course, we know the southern kingdom ended up falling too, but being dead in their sins, now coming back to themselves. And of course, us as a whole nation doing that very same thing, coming back to ourselves. And, you know, those parables make all the more sense once you put them, you know, you start putting the prophets and all of those things in a more, what's the word I'm looking for? In a I guess, a more decent order, reading them in a better time period than what the way they originally put now, if that makes sense.
Khan, and I'm going to talk about that parable and all that stuff in the future as well, but you're absolutely correct. 100%. 100% odd. So this part right here in Isaiah 7, I just wanted to retouch on, because we're going to get to the home stretch right here. I knew it was just going to be a little bit longer. It's been a minute since I've been up here anyway. So I appreciate y'all's attention and participation. Nariah, can you just read Isaiah 7, 1 and 2?
Khan Shemai. This is the book of Yashayahu, or Isaiah, chapter 7, verse 1. And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up towards Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it. Verse 2. And it was told the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim, and his heart was moved, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. And so I just want y'all to see here, the point is that all the way back, even in this time, you can see that it says that Syria the king Rezin of the king of Syria, and Pekah, the king of Israel, they are confederate together. So Syria is confederate with Ephraim to go to war against the southern kingdom, Jerusalem. And Isaiah is prophesying to Ahaz, and he goes in verse 8 and says, don't even stress them. Don't even worry about it, because within the next 65 years, they're not going to be a people. So just wanted y'all to see that all the backstory, which is a lot more that I just cut out, but it's a lot of backstory to why we would, or the southern kingdom would look at the northern kingdom and be like, that's a Gentile. That's the point that I hope y'all take away from all of that backstory with the word and all of those things. So that's the key thing. If you've seen these are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years continuing to go by, and Isaiah and Amos is like Isaiah and Hosea is like the beginning of it, but it continues throughout, all the years until we even get to the so-called New Testament. So just keep that, in the back of your mind. So when you get to the book of Acts, and the book of Acts, it says in chapter 10 and 28, he says, and he says to them, ye know how that is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation, but Yahweh have showed me that I shall not call any man common or unclean. So this is Peter speaking towards Cornelius. It is an unlawful thing for a Jew, southern kingdom, to keep company or come unto one of another nation. The northern kingdom would be considered another nation because they merged themselves up under the Gentiles. And the Most High obviously split them in two to have two different rulerships. Now, he wanted both sides to keep the commandments. That was the plan. But you could see that he's saying it wasn't lawful for him to keep company with one of another nation, but it's not saying another nation as in a person that's not an Israelite. He meant in the sense of, because you guys come from the northern and have mixed and mingled with the other tribes. And I'm going to explain that after Nariah's comment.
Con, appreciate it. I just wanted to refresh everyone's memory in regards to what is it that man should live by?
Every word that come out of the mouth of the Most High.
Okay. Every mouth that comes out of the mouth of Yah is a commandment or a law, if you will. So when you were just reading that, it would make sense why they were considering it to not be lawful, because the Most High commanded, leave them alone. Don't associate yourself with them.
Exactly. Ephraim is joining themselves to idols. Leave him alone. So it is an unlawful thing for a man that is of the southern kingdom to keep company with one that's of the northern kingdom or another nation. Leave him alone. But when we get to Ezekiel 37, he even explains what's going to happen in the future. He says, and I will make them, verse 22, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. That's Isaiah 25. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, Yahweh Shai. And they shall be no more two nations. That's why he said it's not lawful for a Jew to speak with one or keep company with one of another nation. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. So I hope that gives you guys the context to what is happening here with the Israelites and what's happening in the New Testament and what's happening in the book of Acts. So this is the final stretch right here. We talked about this before. Cornelius, verse 1 of Acts gives you a description. I'll read that part. It says, there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band, a devout man and one that feared Yahweh with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to Yahweh always. He saw in a vision, evidently about the ninth hour of the day, an angel of Yah coming to him and saying, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Adonai? He said unto him, Your prayers and your alms have come up for a memorial before the Most High. And now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. One thing I thought about today when Nariah was praying, if he was a wicked Gentile that was actually from another nation, how would his prayers come up before the Most High as a memorial when the law says the Most High doesn't hear the prayer of sinners? So that's just something to keep in mind and something to think about. And I explained before that a centurion, obviously we would know today that's 100. Back in the ancient times, it could be anywhere from 80 to 100 in the Principate period of Rome. The Italian band was just a Roman military group or cohort. And it says that he was devout and feared the Most High with all of his house. A true person who took another nation into captivity wouldn't worship the other's God when they have them subject to them, because they're like, well, my gods defeat your gods because it's allowed me to have power over you, if that makes sense. Another thing that I brought out the last time was about witnesses that Israelites were serving in foreign militaries, and Josephus speaks about it, as well as you can find in Maccabees, First Maccabees chapter 8 and 12, about the Roman pact that was made. I don't want to cover those, just wanted to put that there on the screen for the sake of the class, and when people go back and watch it in the future, they can visit those. But I do want to go and give you guys some witnesses to this as we hit this final stretch. I appreciate y'all's patience with me. So Cornelius, it says, this is an article from the BBC, and the link is on the screen as well. But it says, how was the army organized for the Romans? And it says, only men could be in the Roman army, no women allowed. And it says there were two main Roman soldier types, legionaries and auxiliaries, or auxiliaries. The legionaries were elite, the very best soldiers. A legionary had to be over 17 years old and a Roman citizen. Now, there is a time where I've seen, looking through this history so far, that someone that was not an actual Roman could be a legionary as well. And that's something, we might get into in the future. But it says down here, it says an auxiliary soldier was one who was not a Roman citizen. He was paid only a third of a legionary's wage. So you got two main types. Auxiliaries are mostly known as not Roman citizens, but after their service period, one of the things that they were promised was that after a certain amount of time of service, that they would become Roman citizens, or you could also purchase your Roman citizenship as well. So we're going to get more information about that as we go, but just wanted to put those two things out there. Another source that I came across is called The Sons of Israel in Caesar's Service. The Sons of Israel in Caesar's Service. Jewish soldiers in the Roman military. Now, y'all know when it says Jewish, it's talking about us. It's talking about Israelites. The participation of Roman Jewish soldiers in the armies of the imperial Rome often go unrecognized. They often go unrecognized. This is mainly a result of a lack of recognition on the part of scholars who wish to use rabbinic sources as a benchmark for Jewish practice in the imperial age. Here we go. It is also difficult to identify Jewish soldiers, many of whom had Greek and Latin names. unless they are specifically identified as Jews or are found in a Jewish context, such as a dedicatory inscription from a synagogue. Skipping down, it says there were Jews who served as simple foot soldiers, and then you had influential generals like Tiberius Julius Alexander. Tiberius Julius Alexander is a general in the army, but he was an Israelite from Egypt, Alexandria. And so it says the service of the Roman Jews in the imperial armed forces must be recognized. I haven't gone through this whole PDF. It's like 13 pages to pull out more nuggets because I went into details more with the next source. But so far, we have a few slides left. Abijah, did you want to comment on this? I know you said you were driving, but I know you like stuff like this.
This is stuff the church needs to know, Israelites needs to know, just who this really was.
Khan, I'm gonna just build on this and get to the end, and then we're gonna cover up Acts chapter 10 and give y'all the context more now what was going on, and then we'll be done. So there's another witness called Makers of Ancient Strategy from the Persian Wars to the Fall of Rome. The brother Kazawan had this on one of his videos, and I went through and found it and started reading through these pages and these parts. So shout out to the Most High for using good brothers to give out these witnesses and things like that over the years. So this is page 172 and 173. Again, the name of it is on the screen, and it says up here, let me see. Conversely, Herod from the New Testament probably modeled his army on the Roman army and used some of ethnic Roman officers, and it is likely that many Jews were recruited into the Roman legionary or auxiliary army, both in his reign and afterwards. Both in his reign and afterwards. So remember, legionary usually was already a Roman citizen, and an auxiliary was not a Roman citizen. But even there specifically, it's telling you that they recruited the Israelites. And then here it says the descendants of retired auxiliary soldiers were probably another important source of legionary recruits. So this is why I said sometimes someone who was not an actual Roman or Italian could be a legionary, because let's say my dad joined the military and paid his 25 years of service, who was not an actual Roman citizen, but became a Roman citizen after his service. And then I was born to him after he was already a Roman citizen. I would be born a Roman citizen, but my nationality, just like today in America, I would still be an Israelite. But when you read the history, it would be rarely a way for you to tell who was who. So I hope that part makes sense. It's going to still cover this more. So hopefully it builds and gives more understanding. It says discharge. It says the auxiliary army, recruited entirely from non-citizens, was much larger than the legionary army. So non-Romans was more, or Roman citizens was more greater in number in the army than the legionary, the people who were already Roman citizens. And even some of them could still be from another nation. And it says, discharged after decades of service, these soldiers acquired Roman citizenship on retirement and usually settled in the regions in which they had been stationed. Thus, Rome's army was recruited from among its subjects. So that means if I took over Judea, I'm going to recruit soldiers from Judea. Does that make sense? You could put a comment in the chat if it does. or if you just want to interrupt me and unmute. I see Ya'ala says that's what the U.S. Army is doing now, just like in class talking about the Maccabean chapters using Israelites against Israelites. Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. And just speeding through this, trying to get y'all up out of here. Page 172 continued, I believe it's still 172. It says Herod, before he passed away, basically, he ruled a Hellenistic army of troops from the local military settlements. It says these troops were mainly Samaritans, Edomites, Babylonian Jewish archers, and ethnic Palestinian Jews. So it's showing you all the different types of groups they would use, even in Herod's troops that he put together. So here, what did I want to get from here? Basically, just another witness that Tiberius Julius of Alexander that I mentioned in the beginning, he was Israelite from Egypt. You see that here. It says Vespasian numbered anywhere from 55,000 to 60,000 legionary and auxiliary troops, 15,000 allied troops, and included at least one Israelite high officer, Tiberius Julius Alexander of Egypt. That would be like Brandon Knox, but we know him as Neriah. They took the names of the lands in which they were in captive of, or they were stationed in, or they lived in. Wrapping this thing up, some of the good things here, some of the powerful ones on page 173. It says, in this example and in others that could be discussed from around the empire, it is difficult to distinguish the Romans from their subjects. It is difficult to tell the difference between the actual Romans and the people they have in captivity. A procedure made even more complicated because natives, when enfranchised, took Roman names. Eddie, Brandon, etc., Michael, whoever you want to say. And it says, and many cannot be distinguished in the historical record from ethnic Italians. They took Roman names and cannot be distinguished in historical writings or records from the ethnic Italians. For example, while several of Herod's military officers had Roman names, we do not know if they were enfranchised Jews, Israelites, or soldiers imported or borrowed from Rome's legionary armies. And then it goes on to say, should we count all Roman citizens as an actual Roman, including King Herod, who we know was an Edomite, and his successors, Josephus and Josephus himself, and all retired auxiliary soldiers, their freedmen and their descendants, and the descendants of their freedmen? Should Paul of Tarshish, whose family had acquired Roman citizenship from an unknown patron, therefore count as a Roman? And we know that Paul said he was a Roman citizen, but then he said that he was an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. And then they said that he couldn't be distinguished from an Egyptian. So let me see, I think I got here. Also, it says one scholar writing on Gaul has described the term Roman as mere a social status, has nothing to do with your ethnicity. So you could be more or less a Roman in the web of Roman culture and influence, just like we're American because we're born in America. We took American names and we have been under the culture of American culture and influence. And there was no sharp line between ruler and subject. So now we have gone back and started to separate from them and change our names to be known as Shamaryah, Abijah, Zamaryah, Neriah. And our actions, not celebrating Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, but now we're having Passover, unleavened bread. So if someone was to write history about us, they would be able to start to tell the difference between us and our other American compatriots now. But if we were just to stay like a majority of our family and friends, and someone was to write history about it, they're going to talk about American in a general sense, but you don't know if that American is Israelite American, so-called African American, white American, Chinese American, Japanese American. They're just American. They're just Roman. So hopefully, family, that part makes sense. And the last part is us covering Acts chapter 10. So before I do that, with just everything that I just gave y'all, I know I went a little bit fast, but I repeated a few times. Did anyone have any comments about how it was hard to distinguish Romans from ethnic Romans, and how it showed that Jews actually participated in the Roman military? Nariah.
Khan, I can't elaborate enough on how important it is to read the records of the Maccabees. And just like we talked about about a month or two ago when we were going through the feast of Hanukkah, just how edifying it was this past year, even more so than prior years, just because I know for myself, I'm finally starting to put the pieces together with all the history and the names and all of those things. And if I seem to recall the Romans writing letters pretty much saying whoever's trying to, be with us, you're not only the Israelites, but anybody who's trying to fight on our side can be allies with us in a sense. At least in the beginning, it was like that. So it's the same things that you talk about or have talked about in the past few minutes regarding how, it was hard to distinguish, the Romans from, the Jews at the time. It would make sense because a lot of our people were siding with Rome because of the oppression from Greece. And, with all that time spent with, people getting old, procreating and having children in those lands with the understanding that they have, it will make sense why, for one, our culture will be lost. And then two, it will be common to have a bunch of melanated people that are in a land, and the only distinguishing trait would be their customs, in which case would be, those who knew the ways of Yah, like Cornelius. But I'll yield and let you finish what you saying. This is a very edifying class for me, though, and I'm thankful for it. So all praises.
All praises to Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai the water. Anybody else? Nariah, if you could turn to Acts chapter 10, we're gonna go through this, and then this is it. This is no.
I like this, man. Yeah, thanks for the invite. Yeah, she needs to get out. She ain't got no job.
You on
y'all make it happen. I don't say nothing. Remain humble. I'm gonna stop at this little coffee shop real quick.
because he's going to see Kapad and them for his day. Most High allowed him to see. But so we spoke. I started in the beginning reading about Cornelius, and he talked about his prayers coming up before Yahweh. And the angel was telling him in verse 5, send men to Joppa, call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. And it says, he lodgeth with one Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. And basically, Cornelius sent 3 men to, it says right here in verse 7, Cornelius departed and called 2 of his household servants and a devout soldier of them that waited on him continually. And when he had declared all these things, he sent them unto Joppa. So he told them what happened, and then he sent them to go get Peter. So 3 men were to go and see if they can find Peter. So Nariah, if you can start at verse 9.
Shema. This is the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 9. It says, and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. Acts chapter 10. You said Acts chapter 10. I'm on Acts chapter 1. Sorry about that. This is Acts chapter 10. And you said verse 9, right? Okay. Acts chapter 10, verse 9. On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew near unto the city, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry and would have eaten. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance and saw heaven open and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, master, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And the voice spake unto him again the second time, What Elohim hath cleansed, that call not thou common. This was done 3 times, and the vessel was received up again into heaven.
Stop right there. So something I did never really even notice, and it's just important to read over and over and over and over again. But y'all notice here in verse 16, it says that this was done 3 times. So he saw this 3 times, and then the vessel was received up into the heaven. So the 3 times represents the 3 men that Cornelius was sending to Peter. So he wasn't seeing, this is another witness that he wasn't talking about unclean foods or anything like that, but he was talking about men, and it was done 3 times as a symbol to let him know that 3 men were coming from Cornelius to seek him. You see that, Op?
Khan, also, I thought you were going to say, notice how it never said that Peter actually ate anything. So that's another thing to keep in mind in regards to, a lot of people try to use this as a means to eat unclean food. But I definitely see what you're saying. They being done 3 times, representing the 3 men. I didn't catch that either until you just spoke on it, actually. But I definitely see it.
And that's why it's, like I said, just good for us to repeat and go over these things, because we don't know it all, and it's just too much for us to just know from the first read or the second or the 10th. So until sometimes somebody points it out, you might just keep breezing past it. But it says, read verse 18. I'm sorry, read verse 17.
Verse 17. Now, while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made an inquiry for Simon's house and stood before the gate.
As soon as that happened 3 times, and then he's doubting himself like we do, wondering if it means something or what does it mean, you see these 3 men standing at the gate. So that, again, is a witness to the 3 times for the 3 men. Verse 18.
Verse 18. And called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, were lodged there. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, Behold, 3 men seek you. Arise, therefore, and get thee down, and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius, and said, Behold, I am he whom ye seek. What is the cause wherefore you are come? And they said, Cornelius the centurion, a just man, and one that feareth Elohim, and of good report among all the nation of the Jews, was warned from Elohim by an holy angel to send for you into his house and to hear words of you. Then called he them in and lodged them. And on the morrow, Peter went away with them, and certain brethren from Joppa accompanied him. And the morrow after, they entered into Caesarea, and Cornelius waited for them, and had called together his kinsmen and near friends. And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet and worshiped him. But Peter took him up, saying, Stand up. I myself also am a man. And as he talked with him, he went in and found many that were come together. And he said unto them, You know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation, Gentile, but Elohim have shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean.
So now he's getting ready to break down. He's now understanding what the Most High's vision was that he sent to him. And he's getting ready to break down what is going on here and what has happened between the two nations. Go ahead.
Verse 29. Therefore, I came unto you without gainsaying. As soon as I was sent for, I asked, therefore, what intent you have sent for me. And Cornelius said, 4 days ago, I was fasting until this hour. And at the 9th hour, I prayed in my house. Nobody that just conquered the Israelites going to pray to their God and fast to him for that matter. But anyway, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing and said, Cornelius, your prayer is heard, and your alms are had in remembrance in the sight of Elohim. Send therefore to Joppa and call hither Simon, whose surname is Peter. He is lodged in the house of one Simon, a tanner by the seaside, who when he cometh shall speak to you. Immediately therefore to you, and you have well done that you are come. Therefore are we all here present before Elohim to all things that are commanded you of Elohim. Then Peter opened his mouth. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so here, right here is a lot of verses I got highlighted. This is really about to explain what's going on and how he's being shown that those from the northern tribes is no longer barred from accompanying the southern tribes. This is after Yahushai. So he's letting him know that Yahushai has sent the great word, and he sent Yahushai that is Lord of all, meaning Lord of all 12 tribes. And now it is for any man who accepts Yahushai and keeps the commandments of the 12 tribes of Israel to all be accepted and should not be called uncommon or unclean. So that's what's about to get explained here. Go ahead, 34.
Verse 34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, Of a truth, I perceive that Elohim is no respect of persons.
Within Israel, because there's verses that the Most High is a respecter of our nation over other nations. Mm-hmm. And that's why he does things for us that he doesn't do for the others. But within Israel, no matter if you're northern or southern, there is no respect of persons as long as we keep the Most High's commandments. Go ahead.
Right. But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him.
Yeah.
Did you want to just reiterate what you literally just said? It says, but in every nation. You know, some people might think that's talking about everybody.
No, because that's what I'm saying. It's talking about all 12 tribes. So, and you'll see verse 36.
Verse 36, the word which Elohim sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Yahushai HaMashiach, he is Adonai of all, so, like you said, all 12 tribes.
You see that here, but in every nation, he that feareth him. So if every nation was all nations, he just getting ready to explain who he's talking about. The word which Yah sent unto the children of Israel, all the nations of Israel. preaching peace by Yahweh Shai. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You see how all of it goes together? And then it says the word
I do.
was published throughout Judea, but began at Galilee. What was Galilee? Galilee of the
Gentiles.
So now Peter, he get it now. Kappa, he totally understand it. And he's explaining to them who were seen as Gentiles from the northern or from the nations who were in captivity or went astray. And verse 38.
Verse 38. How Elohim anointed Yahweh Shai of Nazareth or Natazarah with the Ruach Kodash or Holy Spirit and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for Elohim was with him. And we are witnesses of all things which he did both in the land of the Jews and in Jerusalem, whom they slew and hanged on a tree. Him Elohim raised up the third day and showed him openly, not to all the people, but unto witnesses chosen before of Elohim, even to us who did eat and drink with him after he rose from the dead.
And that's just and a certain group of them saw him after he rose from the dead. Go ahead.
Verse 42. And he commanded us to preach unto the people and to testify that it is he which was ordained of Elohim to be the judge of the quick or resurrected and dead. To him give all the prophets witness, to him give all the prophets witness, that through his name whosoever believeth in him shall receive remission of sins.
So if someone asks you, see here, it says through whosoever, or that through his name whosoever believeth. You got to keep the whosoever in context. You would just scroll back up to 36, the word which Yah sent unto the children of Israel. So the whosoever is representing the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And also, I'm highlighting this really quick. Give me 1 second. I'm actually, that's the reason why I repeated what I just read. And I think it was verse 43, to him give all the prophets witness. The whole point of this class was giving you context via the prophets as well as the accounts and the memoirs, what the prophets were sent to do and talk about. And a lot of this is the redemption of Israel. It's the redemption of Israel. That is what was the prophets were witnessing on, speaking specifically on Hosea, which you were bringing out earlier, being called not my people. Now in the same place, you're going to be pretty much called my people.
And that's what's happening right here.
All praises. So verse 43, I'll just read 43 again. To him give all the prophets witness, that through his name whosoever believeth in him shall receive remission of sins. Verse 44, while Peter yet spake these words, the Ruach Kodash, or Holy Spirit, fell on all of them which heard the word, and they of the circumcision which believed were astonished, as many as came with Peter, because that on the Gentiles also was poured out the gift of the Ruach Kodash, or Holy Spirit.
So you can see here when it says, and they that of the circumcision which believed were astonished. When it says they of the circumcision, that's representing the southern kingdom, because they never was separated from the Most High. Remember, he kept the remnant of the southern kingdom in righteousness. Obviously, we still messed up and things like that, but we always had a remnant of the southern kingdom, and they continued to circumcise their children and everything of that nature. So when it used that term, they of the circumcision, it just means those who stayed in the covenant from the southern kingdom. And you see here, they were shocked because even the Gentiles, which was Cornelius and his friends from the northern kingdom, they also received the Holy Spirit. And then they were able to speak in tongues and magnify Yahweh. So verse 46.
Verse 46. For they heard them speak with tongues and magnify Elohim. Then answered Kappa, or Peter, can any man forbid water that these should not be baptized, which have received the Ruach Kodash as well as we? And he commanded them to be baptized in the name of Adonai. Then prayed they him to tarry certain days.
And so you see here again, it's just the reunification of the northern and the southern, the northern being considered Gentiles who was sent away from the Most High because they went after idols, as the southern, those of the circumcision, were commanded to leave them alone. And he saw once that spirit hit them, he's like, does anyone object them to being baptized? Because they received the spirit as we have. And he commanded them to be baptized in the name of Adonai, which is Yahweh Shai. So that's also a witness to, it doesn't say command them to be baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, as in a Trinity. That is a false added text. You're commanded to be baptized in the name of Yahweh Shai. And so hopefully, family, that provided you guys with a picture of the northern and the southern, why they broke up, why the tribes were split. Hopefully you learned something about the order of the prophets, which I'm going to go back to that as the last page. But I just pray that you could see as well how Cornelius was as a Israelite with the witnesses. Y'all see our new little moving graphics there with the dry bones. But let's see. So hopefully this all made sense to you all, and you can go back and review at your own leisure and your own time when Abijah places this on the YouTube channel. But this is one of the best things I did to help provide understanding. And something that we can leave with is you could go and take this order right here and go and start reading the books in this order and just help sharpen yourself, and hopefully you could get a better idea of what was going on in the text. And because that's what I'm about to do, I'm going to go through and read it in this order now so I could see a better picture for myself. With that being said, family, that is the class. I appreciate your time and patience. A little longer than normal just to cover everything. But I pray all is well. I pray it is well received. I pray that your spirit, heart, and mind is open, that you can understand these things, especially when you go back and review. And I pray that it's a tool that you can use to help maybe someone in your family or your friends or someone gain extra understanding. So with that being said, before we pray out, if you free or still on, here's Amar. If you could prepare your heart for that, I'll leave this space right here for anybody to have any comments.
God Yadalai how by Shami Hawashai once again. He is good and his mercy endures forever. This class, just like I say, very, very, very edifying for me. I also will, because I'm in the book of I think Philemon or Philippians on my current read through of the text. But as soon as I'm start back over, I'm gonna go through with this order just to see, because I can already, as I think about it, I can already tell that it's going to just put so many more things into perspective. Just like when after you read with these prophets, before you go to the quote unquote New Testament, if you read Maccabees before going to Matthew, it has so much more credibility, and it puts so many pieces of the puzzle in place to just give you that proper context. And I'm excited about it. I'm definitely praying that this word reaches whoever the Most High has chosen it to reach, because these are some of the things that the entire nation can be edified from, both, bloodline Yasharallah, as well as the righteous strangers who are seeking just the truth. But I think Shamaryah has stepped off. But other than that, man, all praises. I can talk your head off, and I'm pretty sure we'll talk once the class ends. But this was amazing, so I'm thankful.
All praises for that. I think I may have misspoke earlier when I said about Ezra being one of the first. Ezra came out after the Persian captivity, so he would be after Daniel at least. On this, he would probably be after Daniel. I'd have to take my time and not be on the fly, but he wouldn't be first because they were captives in the reign of like King Darius and stuff like that. So that he would be one of the later ones for sure. Somewhere, yeah, Daniel was Babylon, and when Persians took over, yeah, so he would be after Daniel at the bare minimum.
I think that was our mistake. I know for me, I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you were asking for us to name prophets that stuck out to us that you usually think of. And I know that's why I mentioned Ezra. So if anything, it was just me misunderstanding what your question was.
It's all good. But yeah, so far from my research, I think this is like a much better timeline and structure for people to read from. Did anyone else have any final comments before we pray out? All right. No.